Merry Christmas. It's Christmas cookie time, and that means delicious cookies made festive, and that's what this is all about. These are candy bar cookies. They have a mini candy bar right inside of a peanut butter cookie. It's simple, it's delicious, everyone's gonna love them. Let's make some. The wind is howling outside, and that means it's a great time to make Christmas cookies. So these are a candy bar cookie, which means you use these bite-sized or little fun-size candy bars. You can do any type of candy bar. What's fun about these is every child loves them. Growing up, this is one of our favorites, but every adult loves them too. It's pretty much just a peanut butter cookie that you put around a little candy bar, you bake it, you roll it in sugar. It's beautiful, it's fun, and it's festive. So to start, we're going to cream some butter and sugar. Now this butter is room temperature, and what I mean by that is you can make a nice indent in it. See how it makes like a nice divot in it? You don't want it to be liquid melted, but you also don't want it to just be hard from the fridge because it will mix a lot slower then. So we're gonna do both a mixture of brown sugar, which brown sugar has those molassesy caramel notes. It gives it more flavor and a little bit more chew, and that's what I love. And then some plain granulated white sugar. We're gonna put those both in there. We're gonna lift it up and just start mixing, but mix it well until it's light and fluffy, and that means 3 to 5 minutes. So this has been mixing, and I want to make sure you understand that 3 to 5 minutes when I say to mix it is important because that's when you get this lighter, fluffier texture. And you don't get that if you just quickly mix it. You actually need to do that 3 to 5 till it's lighter and fluffy. So I'm scraping down the bowl because anytime you use an electric mixer, you can get little things in the divots in the bottom and it may not mix evenly, so you wanna make sure you scrape it. Now I'm gonna add an egg, one at a time, and that's just gonna make sure that they really do incorporate evenly. So I put 1 egg in there, I'm gonna lift it and just mix it here for a few seconds to get it in there. And while it's doing that, I can get my other egg, but sometimes when you add both eggs at once, they don't mix in evenly and you get these little pockets. You don't want that. It's Christmas and you want everything to be just perfect. So once that first egg is incorporated, the dough really starts changing. So we're gonna add in a second one. We're just gonna crack it, put it right in, let that now mix in. And you can see at first it always looks like, oh, it doesn't look that good. And then you just turn it up a bit, see how perfect and everything that's getting mixed. Now you can see again, what we should do here is scrape the bottom of the bowl because little pieces and little pockets of that egg may not always get incorporated evenly if you don't do that. I think it's these little things that sound tedious in a recipe, and I get it. Hey, sometimes I don't follow them either. But then sometimes you get to baking and you bake a batch and maybe 1 or 2 of the cookies has like something that looks weird with them or they flatten out when they're baking. None of the others do. It's because of things like this, because they weren't mixed evenly. I know, it sounds picky, but now we're gonna add in one of the best parts, and that's the peanut butter. So this is just the normal peanut butter, the one that spreads nice, the one that we love to use on peanut butter sandwiches, the one that kids love. This isn't a fancy peanut butter because you want that texture, and that's what's really gonna help these cookies have the right texture. It has the sweetness to it, it has it all. You know, there's a time and a place for delicious, healthy nut butters and peanut butter, and there's a time and a place for just the good stuff. And that's what we're putting in this one. So I'm gonna scrape it all in, make sure I get it all in there, and then we're gonna mix this up till it's well incorporated. So this is finished mixing. I'm just gonna add in the vanilla. I always usually add it in right at the end there. And you just measure it with your heart. But no, there's an amount you can put in. I just love to put in a good amount. You know, I make my own vanilla and I don't then feel bad just using it. So I'm gonna scrape down again. Also the paddle, even if there's any bits or pieces that worked up on the paddle. This dough, you can tell, it's a cookie dough. It's coming, look how beautiful it is. It's mixed really well. It's nice and even. It's a smooth, fluffy consistency, which is what you want. Now we don't have any of our dry ingredients in yet. And so that's what we're now gonna do. So once we have this all scraped down, just again, to make sure it's all incorporating evenly, you know, it's one of those things at Christmas, I feel like we're more apt to take the time to make sure things are just right because it just feels like that special time of year to do that. Growing up, we made these cookies with Mom and every time they were good. So we're gonna put in the flour, just all-purpose flour. We're gonna add that right in. We're gonna put in some baking powder and baking soda. We're gonna add those in, and then a little bit of seasoning, which means a nice pinch of salt. Now what the salt does, it brings out all the other flavors. It makes everything taste better and balances. So let's just mix that until it's just incorporated, and we'll start assembling. I pulled it off the mixer once it was mixed, but I always like to make sure and give it a final couple turns here with just a spatula. Again, you just wanna make sure everything's mixed, but look how easy of dough this is. It's just like a peanut butter cookie. And honestly, now we're just gonna transform it into something spectacular. Now you can use a cookie scoop depending on the size. I often will just use a tablespoon measure. It just depends on, kind of what you have on hand. Some cookie scoops, are all different sizes. So if you don't know, it's just sometimes easier to measure it out. You take an amount and you just roll it. As you can see, the butter in it makes it so it's a really easy dough to work with. It doesn't stick to your hand. It works nicely, it works into a ball. And you take that ball, you flatten it out. Look how easy this is. It's really a no-brainer. And then you take your little fun-size, bite-size candy bar, stick it right in the middle. And it's just that mini candy bar, and it's gonna go to now, and you just fold it around. Now, if say you're doing this and all at once you get a big rip, like here, I'll make a rip. See that? Guess what? It's forgiving. You just pat it together. That's why this is great with kids. This is great with anyone. If you're doing like a cookie party where you all make cookies together, I know some people do that. Personally, I like to make cookies on my own, but if you like to make them with tons of people, this is an easy one to do because it's really a no-brainer. You then roll it in a ball again. You can kind of feel where that candy bar is in there, so you can get it right side up if you want to. But then I just roll it in a mixture of sugar with green and red sanding sugar pieces. I think it's festive. I don't like all red or all green. I think that can be a little much, but I think if you mix it with sugar, it's festive. Look at that. This is just fun. And now we line them up. See how simple that is? It really is a quick and simple, super easy. If you wanted to, you could make this cookie dough ahead. You could put it in the freezer. Yeah. Or you could put it in the fridge for a couple days, and you could make these every so often if you don't want to do it all at once. But really, once the process starts, you can see it's not that hard. It's a really forgiving process, and it's just a really fun, easy one. So I'm gonna keep making these. We're gonna fill up the tray, we're gonna bake, and we're gonna have a cookie. I'm taking the last one through the sugar mixture and putting it right on. Now, if you wanna be really nitpicky, you can go through and kind of feel the cookies. If you have that little mini candy bar sitting correctly, as in flat side down, right side up, they will bake a little bit more evenly and look a little bit better once they bake. That's something my grandma and mom would do. And so now it's ingrained in me a little bit. But if you don't do that, they still are fine. So I'm gonna pop these in the oven. I'm really used to baking one tray at a time just because you could put convect bake on if you have that and bake multiple. But when you get used to an oven, I do one at a time. Gonna let it bake, then we're gonna try them. I just took this pan out of the oven and you can see they get crackly, crack open a bit, and they're just a beautiful little package because what's inside is the secret. Now these have been cooling. There's always gonna be one or two that maybe has a little bit of something come out like the caramel from the candy bar, but when you open them, look at that. You get that middle that is filled with the candy bar, so this one has caramel, some peanut, the nougat, chocolate. And guys, this is usually the first thing to go if you have a platter of these. It's everything you want. It is that soft, buttery soft melt in your mouth peanut butter cookie. And then that little candy bar, it softens it once you bake it. And it melts it slightly, so it just like is the perfect consistency with the cookie. It's a match made in heaven. It's a perfect marriage. And it's a great surprise. And look, the sprinkles make it festive. Honestly, when you think about it, that's what a Christmas cookie is. Some of them are traditions, which these are for my family. My mom always made these when I was little. And that's really what creates a Christmas cookie. It's the traditions and the things we put around it. So things like the red and green sprinkles, make sure everyone else knows it's a Christmas cookie, but guess what? You're gonna know too. And I think you're gonna love it. So what do I hope you do with these? I hope you gather friends together, family together, kids together, whatever it is, and make something festive, make something enjoyable. Enjoy the Christmas season. We get one of these seasons a year. We get once a year to say Merry Christmas and make something delicious and festive, and that's what this is. So share it, check my website, wiseguy.com, for this recipe and all my other recipes. They're all on the website. Until next time, have a Merry Christmas.